Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you can actually hear me. I'm outside, I'm in my balcony because we can go outside, right? But the balcony is a great place to get some fresh air, and today the weather is lovely. It's really warm. Um, and I just finished some of the work that I had to do, so I decided to film a video. And today I'm going to talk about all the films that I watched accidentally before I read the book. I have all the books. I haven't read all of them. I believe I haven't read two. Yeah. When I say accidentally watch the film, I'm trying to say that sometimes I didn't know there was a book, or I was too young, or I just really didn't care because I knew the author and I knew that even though I know how the story ends now, I know the book is going to give me so much more than the film, so I don't really care if I'm watching the film first or not. Also because a lot of these books, they are referenced in pop culture, and you already know a lot about the story without having to read the book. So I'm just going to do this. I don't have an order. I'm just going to pick up a book and tell you all about it. So the first one that I have here is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. This is the first book of the Harry Potter series. And yeah, my sister got into Harry Potter before I did, but she never actually finished the series. So she asked my parents for this book for Christmas or her birthday or something, and then she asked for the film. And I was too young at the time. I didn't know there was like something called Harry Potter. So I watched the film first. We watched the film together as a family, and then after my sister, I'm sorry, I don't know what that is. After my sister finished the book, I started reading this book. So I watched Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone before I read the book, but honestly, I was too young. I don't even remember the impact that it had. Like, I don't even know what I felt after I finished the film. I think that I got a lot more out of the books, and I do prefer the books to the films, if I'm being completely honest. The other one that I have here is Emma by Jane Austen. So I read this book twice already, and I've already watched the new remake, and I really, really loved it. But I watched the old one with Gwyneth Paltrow. But I already knew the story, and I was actually reading the book at the time. But I already knew, a lot about the story without having to read the book. So I decided, you know what, it doesn't really matter. I watched the film, I enjoyed it, but, again, I wasn't scared because I already knew Jane Austen, and I knew that I was going to get a lot more out of this book than, the film itself. So yeah, this was another one. This was an accident in the sense that it was just on TV, and I felt like watching it, and I really didn't care that I hadn't finished the book at the time. So accidentally. The next one is one that I've mentioned before, actually quite recently, because I made a video recommending you some memoirs, and that's Girl Interrupted. Again, this was an accident in the sense that it was just on TV, and I decided to watch it because I really like Winona Ryder, because it had to do with mental health, and at the time I was already really interested in the subject. I decided to continue watching. My dad wasn't thrilled because he said that he was a little bit concerned that I would get influenced by the film. But yeah, so I didn't know at the time that the film was actually based on the book, and it was a memoir. So that was a really nice surprise. And yeah, right now, if you watch my book recommendations video about memoirs, you know that I can't choose. I can't tell you if I like the book better or not. I just feel like they're very, very different, and I like watching the film, but at the same time I really like rereading this book. I'm sorry about the noise, but I'm outside, so it's normal. So the next book is a bit weird because the film that I watch is not entirely based on this book at all. It's based on another book, but I got a lot out of that film and made me want to read this book, if that makes sense. And that film is The Hours, and I'm talking about Mrs. Dalloway. So if you have watched The Hours, it's a film that talks about three different women in different time periods. One of them is Virginia Woolf, and in the film she's actually writing Mrs. Dalloway. And at the time, it's one of my favorite films, and I haven't read the book, which is weird, but At the time, I fell in love with Nicole Kidman's performance. She's not one of my favorite actresses at all, but I just love her as Virginia Woolf. And yeah, it just I wanted to read the book Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf because of that film and because I really liked Nicole Kidman's performance. So this is a weird one, but still, I read this is quite short. It is still one of my favorite books by Virginia Woolf, but I haven't read all of her books yet, so I can't really say if that opinion is going to change in the future. I want to say that it's a really nice story in the sense that I really liked the narrative, but the story itself, like it's just going to break your heart. But yeah, I really, really love this book, and it's one that I recommend. But I should read The Hours since I love the book so much. That's something that I never considered. The next one, again, this is a weird one. I haven't read this book, and I didn't finish the film. Well, basically because I was at my dad's house and I was watching the film. I watched like 20 minutes and then we had to go. So I ended up not watching the whole thing, but I really liked the first 20 minutes anyway. And that Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen, this is one of the books that I want to read this year for sure. It is not very long. I really liked the first 20 minutes of the film. I don't know if it were 20 minutes or 30 minutes or 40 minutes, but honestly, I didn't get any commercials, so I'm pretty sure that was just the beginning. I ended up not watching the film again because I got home and I just thought, oh, it's not a priority right now. I don't even have the book. When I talked about Emma, I was actually reading Emma at the time, and in this case I wasn't reading Sense and Sensibility, so it didn't really make sense for me to watch the film first. But since I had the opportunity to get the book, now I'm considering the other way around. So I'm going to read the book first and then watch the film. The next one is one that this book traumatized me. I actually consider not having children because of this book. And that's We Need to Talk About Kevin by Lionel Shriver. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. So I watched the film. Again, I didn't know there was a book. And the film was heavy. The subject matter is quite heavy, quite difficult to digest. And I was expecting something completely different. Again, the book, in this case, it's like Girl Interrupted. The book has nothing to do with the film. The book, it's just terrifying. I was traumatized. I read this basically in 2 days, which is not normal for me, but this is such a page turner, and I just really, really love the way Kevin's mom, just writes down all of her feelings. And even though I knew what's going to happen, I just learned so much more from this book. I'm going to sneeze. Sorry, allergies. But what was I saying? Yeah, I just learned a lot more about the characters from reading the book. Again, the film has nothing to do with the book. So honestly, I would recommend reading the book first. In this case, if you have watched the film first, don't worry, because you are going to get a lot out of this book. This is one of my favorite books of all time, and yeah, this is just heartbreaking, and at the same time, it is traumatizing, so be careful. I actually consider not having kids after this. I was like, no way. But obviously, that was just my first reaction. Anyway, I really recommend this book, and I really like the film as well. I really like the actor who played Kevin. I think he was brilliant, and he really portrayed the character well. So yeah, it's a win-win situation in this case. Now, again, this is a book that I haven't read yet. My mom got it for me. This is in Portuguese. It's a Portuguese edition, and I'm really excited about getting into this book, but I have others that I'm prioritizing. And again, I watched this film accidentally because I was really, really young. So at my house, we always watched a lot of TV as a family, and we would watch a lot of crime shows and a lot of like gangster films and TV shows. So at my house, when other people are watching like music shows and talent shows or whatever, or even family films, I was watching The Godfather and The Sopranos. And I was a little kid when I watched The Godfather. I don't remember how old I was, but I was like, I don't know, 8 or 9, and I just loved The Godfather. It's still like my favorite, if not my favorite film of all time, or my favorite trilogy for that matter. I just love everything about it, and that's obviously The Godfather. So I have this book. I haven't read it yet. I was too young to even know there was a book, and too young to actually read this book. I don't even know how I like the film. I just think that kids are weird like that sometimes, and they just really, get obsessed over something that is not normal. But yeah, I was obsessed with The Godfather. I wanted to like, let's play The Godfather. And I watched the trilogy when I was still very young, and I have rewatched it a ton. So yes, this is my one of my possibly favorite films of all time, and I really hope that I enjoyed the book as much as I love the film and the films for that matter. I have a weird opinion. Obviously, I love the first film, but I'm not like other people that say that the second film is the best. I actually love the third film, and people usually hate the third film. My boyfriend says I'm weird like that. I have like controversial opinions. Sometimes people hate something, and I just like it. That happens like with music and actors or films, and in this case, obviously, I love the first film, but the third is amazing. I don't know why people hate that film so much. But yeah, so this is another one. This one, again, I've mentioned this book in that book recommendations video about memoirs, and that's Prozac Nation. Again, it was an accident in the sense that it was on TV, and I just started watching it. And it had Christina Ricci, so it was pretty similar to Girl Interrupted, because I saw Winona Ryder, and I like Winona Ryder, so I was going to watch the film. Same thing with Christina Ricci. I really like Christina Ricci as an actress, and yeah, ended up really loving it. And I actually because I think there was like at the end of the film, like I believe there was like a footnote saying something about Elizabeth, the author, and I was like, whoa, there's a book. It's still one of my favorite films and books of all time. So the last one is a fun one. 2 years ago I participated in the Jane Austen July readathon, and we had to read a book that I don't remember the challenge exactly, but I think it was like a retelling of one of Jane Austen's novels, and I decided to read Bridget Jones' Diary. It is my guilty pleasure. I love Bridget Jones' Diary. I actually watched the last time I watched the film was last summer, and I watched it with my boyfriend, and he ended up actually enjoying it. So now I have to convince him to watch the second one, and Bridget Jones' Baby as well, which actually I went to the premiere of that because I'm obsessed. I didn't know there was a book at the time, accidentally watched the film on TV and really, really enjoyed it. And then I think I told my friends about it or something, and someone said, there's actually a book, and yeah, that's how I got this one. I only have the first book, but I've read the second and third book on my phone when I had an e-reader app, and now I'm considering buying all three on my e-reader in English because I have the Portuguese edition, and even though I really love this edition, I would like to read the first book in English just because I think it's going to be a different experience. Out of the three books, I have to say that the first and the third are my favorites. Out of the films, the first one for sure. I didn't care for the second one that much, and Bridget Jones' Baby wasn't even like based on a book. There's a book that was based on the film, I believe. I really hope that one day they consider making a film for the third book, because the third book, it's amazing. You have to read it if you haven't. I'm really sorry if this just makes you want to unsubscribe because I like Bridget Jones, but I like Bridget Jones. I can't help it. So those are all the books. So I've watched 9 films before I read the books, and they were all accidents. Some of them were because I just didn't really care and I watched the film anyway, but most of them were accidents. I still think that my experience is valid. People sometimes are really, they follow the rules and they say, oh, I can't watch that film because I haven't read the book. And I understand if you want to read the book first because you don't want to watch the film, and then maybe you don't want to read the book because you already know how it's going to end. But still, I think that Sometimes, in my case, for example, with Jane Austen, I was reading Emma and I didn't know exactly. I knew some things about the story just because of pop culture references, but I didn't know exactly how it was going to end. But it wasn't a problem for me. I still watched the film before I finished the book because I knew that I was going to get so much more out of the book. I mean, it's Jane Austen. You know, the character development is going to be completely different. So I still enjoyed the book immensely, even though I knew how it was going to end. That's the video for today. I don't know if you like this experience of me filming in my balcony. I'm kind of scared to look over there because I don't know if neighbors are watching me and thinking I'm crazy, but I don't know if I'm going to film more videos here outside, but I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!